be walking us through some of those important enhancements. Abby, thanks for being with us this afternoon. I think you can go ahead and get started.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Colin. And thanks everyone for joining today's webinar. We have another great turnout, and some of you may be new. So welcome to Gainfully for North American, and others may be returning members. So welcome back. And if you've logged into your Gainfully account in the last couple of days, you may have noticed we had a couple new updates, enhancements rather. So we'll be touching upon those on today's call. But before we kind of dive into the agenda, I do want to make sure everyone can hear me and see me. So just a quick housekeeping item. If you can, go ahead and let me know that you can hear me and see me in the question box on the right-hand side of the GoToWebinar panel, and then I'll know to get started. Wonderful. Thanks so much, everyone. I can see everyone can hear me and see me, so I appreciate that. That same question box that you're typing in, I can hear you and see you, that's also the same box that you can post questions throughout the webinar. We are going to host a Q&A at the end of today's presentation, and we're going to try to go through all those questions and answer them for you. So please use that same box, and we can revisit that later in the webinar. So really, the focus here is going to be talking about setting up your profile and browsing the North American content that Colin and his team have put together. While you're browsing content, saving and sharing content, configuring and enabling your queue so that you can push out either timely content or content over several days and weeks and months. And then, of course, how you can connect with your clients and with current financial professionals that already are on Gainfully. So we'll talk about that as well. If you've logged into Gainfully in the last couple days, we had a big release that came out here on Monday. And we're going to talk about some of those new features. But one thing you may notice is that we have an easier to use navigation system throughout the web and mobile applications. So we really condense the icons so that it's a much easier to use system. We also now have a dedicated dashboard view that shows you recently viewed people and organizations that you may be following. And I think the two favorite features here is that you can now save an entire page of organizations and content right from your account. So if you don't have time to view content from a dedicated page, that's okay. You can save it and view it later. So that may be a page of 50 cards. So awesome, awesome new feature. And then we also now have a feature that allows you to do bulk queuing of campaigns and bulk saving of content. So what that means is you can really have a set it and forget it feature. If you want to bulk queue 50 cards one day a week at 10 a.m., you're now able to do that. Right? So we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail later on, but we're really excited to show you these new features. Now, some of you may be wondering two things. If I'm new, how do I get started? And we'll talk a little bit about that later today. But short and sweet, if you are new, everyone will be receiving an activation invite email within the day. Just keep a lookout for that. That invitation email will bring you right into North American. If you are an existing member of the North American channel, I recommend that you log back into your account and take a look at these new features that we're going to be talking about today. And of course, if you are having trouble connecting to the channel, we do have a support email, team@gainful.ly. I'll show you that also at today's webinar. Now, before we switch our screens, and while I'm getting the other presentation set up, it's worth mentioning we are recording this webinar. And everyone, whether they join or jump off a little early, everyone will get a copy of this webinar today. So thanks so much. Okay, so let me go ahead and switch my screen to the Gainfully program for North American. Hold tight. Thanks so much. Great. So, new and returning members. When you log into Gainfully, you'll go to gainful.ly. That's our unique URL system to get into the platform. When you log in, it's going to default to the last place that you were visiting in the site. So if you were in your profile, it's going to default to that last page. If you were in the actual North American channel, it will default there. But if you're logging in for the first time, it is going to default to the network. And that's great, because what's going to happen here is you're going to select organization, and then you're going to see the North American channel and any other organizations that you may be following. To get right into North American, you'll just click right on it, right on that thumbnail, and it's going to bring you in right to the North American channel with all that great content that Colin and his team have been putting into the actual channel in itself. Once you get logged in, I always recommend going to your profile that still lives on the bottom left-hand side. This is a good place to start. The reason being is it allows you to review personal details and contact information. That's always key, because you are going to be sending out items to your online networks, either via client email or your social channels like LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook. So I always recommend, after you log in, and even if it's been a while, go down to your profile and review these settings. You can also import a mugshot or a lovely headshot, if you will, and that will be attached here with your Gainfully program. Worth mentioning, our system will detect your local time zone. So you'll see here, Gainfully, we're based out of San Francisco, so it's detecting that West Coast time zone. But if you are moving and you need to update this, you can go ahead and update that and put in the city and state, and it will reflect that new time zone. I like mentioning that, because if you are sending out content via campaigns in the queue and you're sending information out, it's going to go out on your time zone. So something to think about, if your audience is active between 8 and 10, make sure that this is updated, right? So for me, I'm going to go back to San Francisco, but this is definitely worth reviewing. It will detect automatically, but if you do switch states for whatever reason, you'll want to go ahead and update that. Contact information, make sure your email address is accurate. You can attach a phone number. You can also attach a website or a landing page URL if that is also of importance to you. And then once this looks accurate and you're ready to go, I recommend going right into integrations. Now, if you're familiar with our platform before this release, integrations used to live here on the left-hand navigation bar. It no longer lives there. It now lives in profile settings. And that's neatly aligned with all these other areas in the platform. It's an easy way to get all your social channels connected. And you'll see here, you'll see all the available social channels that are living within the Gainfully platform. And in this case, we have LinkedIn, Twitter, right, Facebook, and so on. So really quickly, integrating social media accounts is really simple. After you select the word connect, you'll be asked to log into each account using your username and password. I'll show you a quick example when you hit the word connect, what that experience looks like. So here you go, email and password. So go ahead, input that email, input that password. And once you do that, we're essentially allowing access to your social channel from Gainfully. Okay. So really important. For today's demo, I have my LinkedIn account connected so I can show you that experience. And you can always review all your social media accounts by going into integrations, right? And making sure this is what you want connected to the program. Perfect. Once you have your profile connected and you have your, once you have your profile configured and your integrations connected, this is where the fun begins. So you can go right into that North American channel. And really, the way to get back is by selecting network, and you'll go right into the North American channel. So I had 2 steps here, but network, organizations, North American. North American has done a great job, I always say this, with organizing their content with different pages and collections. So you can go ahead and comb through all the articles in each page, and that's all these pages are organized by title. So you'll see here we have content plan, agent audience, we have client audience, we have consumer videos, so you can also send out videos. We have a value add program as well, and news that you can use. So this is a really great place to see how the content's organized by leveraging this left-hand nav here, or navigation, right? You can go right into it. Now, Colin and Kate may be able to add to this, but Colin, how often is North American adding in content? I would say almost monthly, maybe even more than monthly. It seems that content is coming in here quite often. So, and you'll see here we have some recent content coming in here from middle of July. But is that right, Colin? Content's coming in here on a monthly basis?
Yep,
if not
that's
more?
exactly right. That's exactly right, Abby. At least on a monthly basis, and many times, as you said, throughout the month, we'll be putting new content out there. So if you're used to receiving the old content plans as PDFs that North American would produce, you're actually getting that content now through Gainfully to share out to your audience. So it's a little easier, a little slicker that way, and we're pretty excited about how we're able to distribute those now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that little tidbit. And so for everyone here on the call, I recommend, even if you're a returning member, go through in each of these pages to get a closer look on what content is in the channel. And when you go into each page, you'll see a block of content, which is what we're seeing right here. So in this example, we have agent audience. And in this view, you have a carousel, and it's really easy to kind of toggle back and forth. If you want to get the full view of content, I recommend selecting View All. Really important, because that's going to give you all the cards in that page, in that block. And from this view, if you want to get more information about any of these cards, you just have to click in right where that title is. And this is going to always give you the title, the short description, the source of the article, and you can read it right from this view. And it's going to bring you right to that original source, which in this case is hbr.org, Harvest Business Review. So if you want to go back to Gainfully, just make sure you select that Gainfully tab here on your web browser. It's really easy to get right back. I'm just going to show you a few cards here right from that view, and how easy it is to select read and go right to that original source. So we'll click into a couple more. Now this view, it's really simple to share out to. We'll talk about that in a moment. But of course, if you want to save any cards quickly to your save folder, oftentimes you'll get enough information from the title, right? But you just may not have time. I always like to mention this, to read the article right then and there. You may want to go back later. So I recommend saving these cards. You can do that from this view. It's very, very easy. You can also do it by clicking into the card and hitting the word save. A lot of these options that I'm showing, saving, sharing, you're going to be able to do from different endpoints throughout the platform. You'll notice you can do it from this view, right? You can share from here. You can also share by clicking into the card, right? Same thing. The only view you're not going to get on this side is the reading. So if you want to read the card, you have to actually click into that title and then select the word read. Okay. So worth mentioning. So as you start coming through this content, and as you start browsing content and you're saving it, you may be thinking, okay, Abby, that's great. How do I review all the content that I've been saving that I may want to add to my queue, or I may want to share out later? It's a good question to myself. Really simple. All you have to do is go back to your library here, which is on the left-hand side, and it's called Saved. And this is going to show all those save cards right here from this view. So you can go through and check out all the items that you've been saving. You can always remove items that you no longer want in the program by selecting the word saved. That's going to go ahead and remove that from your save folder. So you just can go through quickly. You can review and click into the card and read it. But that's where you can house all your saved content. And then, of course, you know, as you start understanding which content you want to send out to your channel, you can start sharing out that content really simply. You'll go back to the North American channel, or you can also do it from the save view, and you just select the word share. When you select the word share, it's going to allow you to select the channel that you want to share out to. So in this case, when you go in and you hit the word share, you'll want to select social media, and you'll want to select LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook. Now, I just have my LinkedIn app connected, but you may have Twitter and Facebook. It will be different for everyone. And then if you want to share this out in real time, you'll select options and share now. So I always recommend timely content, news-related content that's hot today, hot this week. I recommend sharing in real time by selecting the word share and then selecting the channel you want to share out to. Options, share now. Okay. So that's how you share in real time. If you want to queue content out, a lot of content to go out over days and weeks, I recommend utilizing our auto sharing. And the reason being is it's a great way to have a set it and forget it mentality. And if you want to utilize that feature, you'll want to go to campaigns here on the left-hand side. This is where you can enable this piece or this feature. And once you have this enabled, this is where the fun begins. You can go ahead and start scheduling days to time. So for example, if you want content going out every day at 6:20 p.m. on Monday, great. If you want content going out every day at 8:21 a.m., you can do that as well. And Friday at 11:21 or 11 o'clock, you can go ahead and do that as well. One thing worth mentioning, I hope I'm not screaming into my microphone, is you'll notice that there are cues for each social channel. Some of you that are familiar with this platform already know that, but if you're new, if I had Twitter and Facebook connected as well, you would also see Twitter here and Facebook, and you would repeat the exact same steps here, right? You'll select your profile and you'll add times to days and you'll complete this step. That's really important. Sometimes we have folks that will say, they'll reach out and say, gosh, you know, I got my LinkedIn queue, but I don't have my Facebook queue or my Twitter queue, and that's because you haven't enabled it. This only works when you enable it. It only works when you add times to days. So like I've always mentioned, you still got to be an active participant in campaigns in order to set content out automatically. But once you have this enabled, you're good to go. You're all set. And that's when when you start browsing content, you can start queuing it up. I'm going to show you how easy it is to queue up content. Same thing. You hit the word share in any card, and you'll select the social channel that you want to queue items out to. So in this case, it's LinkedIn. Watch this. I'm going to queue up a ton of content because I want to show you how easy it is. And then we're going to talk about the bulk queue. So I'm going to queue up a ton of content. I already have times to days. My LinkedIn account's already connected. And I'm going to add in at least 10 pieces because I want to show you what this looks like in your queue. It's quite impressive because we will actually spell out the schedule for you. So you're going to know exactly what's going out here for the next couple days. We're just going to do a whole bunch here. And I'm just doing this for fun here. So hopefully I'm getting a couple different pieces. And we'll go ahead and we're going to add a whole bunch of items to my queue. And now if you had a Facebook queue enabled as well, when you hit the word share, you would want to select that Facebook icon too. You can decide which items and which queues you want to post to. But so once you start adding a couple items to your queue, you can review what's in your queue by going back to campaigns. There we go. So all those items, I just selected the word share and queue. Look at this. You can now see the schedule. Remember, I made my schedule Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Look at the items. They're going out Thursday, Friday, Monday, July 30th, Thursday, August, Monday, August 6th. So these items are going out automatically. I don't have to do anything. They're going to go out to my LinkedIn account on the pre-designated times here that we have established. So if at any time you want to switch your queue around, you can drag and drop to different days. You can move items to different days. If for some reason you go, gosh, how to increase self-esteem, this is no longer relevant to my audience. I don't want this going out on Thursday, July 26th. That's okay. You can hit the trash icon. That will remove that from your queue. So the reason why I'm showing this is because you have a lot of flexibility to control your queue, to decide what's going out, and really have a set it and forget it. Now, the new feature that I talked about earlier in my presentation that I'm really excited to show you is the bulk queue. Okay, we're going to do an example here. So if you were in content plan client audience, for example, you'll go to that page here on the left-hand nav, and you can select view all. This is the view that will take you to the bulk queue, and I recommend going there. This will enable or allow you to bulk queue. So I'm going to show you this right now. If for some reason you decided I want to queue all of these 50 cards in this page to my LinkedIn queue, you can. Watch this. We're going to select all, and you'll hit queue. That's going to queue up all 50, 60 plus cards that are in that page. If you only want to queue maybe 10 cards at once really quickly, you can do that too. So you have a lot more flexibility. I'm so excited to show this feature. This is a feature that not only have our customers of Gainfully have been asking, but end users as well. So, keep this in mind. If you really, truly want that set it and forget it, the bulk queue is a great feature to leverage. And I'm going to show you what happens when we hit queue as a bulk. So this is adding everything in this page. We're going to hit queue. Select my LinkedIn profile, hit add to queue. Bulk action. Below items will be added to your queues. Other cards will be saved and requested for approval if that needs to happen. You'll scroll down to view all those cards that are now going into a bulk queue, and you'll hit continue. Cards have been added to your queue. And if you want to go back and review all those cards, you'll go to campaigns. And so this is where you're going to start seeing, because we added quite a few cards, my queue is essentially booked up. Let's scroll down here to see. It's probably going to go into November potentially. And it could be even later, depending on how many times the days you have. If you only have one day a week at one time to 1 day a week, this could go as far out to 2019. So look at this. So I'm good until November 2nd. I'll have content going out. Now, just, be mindful here. Some of this content may be kind of static content, so the topic is really never going away. But if you do have timely content, I recommend sharing in real time. But wow, talk about an easy way to set it and forget it. And we're really excited to show that to you guys today. And the second feature that we rolled out on Monday, and some of you may have already noticed this, is saving an entire page. So, as you guys browse through content, if for some reason you, again, just don't have time to view all the content in this collection or block, that's okay. Select Save Page and do that for each page. You can select and save the entire page of cards. And again, if you want to review these later, you can. You'll just go to that save folder here on the left-hand side. Check it out. Here are the pages that I just saved. And everything that I'm showing you, again, all the endpoints somewhat connect, right? You know, we're in the save folder, but in the save folder view, you can also share content out from this view. You can send it to your queue. You can share it in real time. You can schedule items to go out in the future. So you have a lot of flexibility here in all different endpoints of the platform. You know, you can also schedule items to go out in the future, to go out one-off. Maybe you want this just to go out on August 15th at 12 p.m. That's okay. You can do that too. So, you know, there's really no way. You're not going to break the platform. I recommend getting in here, poking around. That's really the best way to learn and use this platform. And so without further delay here, what I do want to make time for too is talking about, you know, once you have content queued and saved, you know, if at any time you want to review what's gone out, you can. And I think that's really important. We have some folks that say, you know, okay, I'm sending a lot of content out. How is that content being interacted with? If you go back to your campaigns, you can go to analytics. And this actually will tell you what's left your Gainfully platform and how it was interacted with by shares, views, and impressions. Now, it doesn't tell you the day that it went out, but at least gives you a view of what's going out from Gainfully, right? So you can always revisit analytics as a great way to see, hey, what's gone out in the past, right? And how many shares. So in this Sandbox account, you can see this article, what does loyalty mean to you? This I shared out to LinkedIn, and then my audience shared it 62 times, right? I had over 400 views of that article. And impressions and views and impressions. I always like to make the difference. If you are trying to understand what those mean, shares is when someone actually shares a card out to another social channel like LinkedIn or Twitter. Views are when your audiences actually click into a card or into a post on LinkedIn. And impressions is when you're scrolling, when someone's scrolling on a news feed like LinkedIn or Facebook, and they're consuming content via scrolling. So that's how I make the difference between these three. I always like to make that known. Okay, we're coming up to that 30-minute mark, and I do want to make sure we make time for questions. So what I'm going to do here right now is actually take a moment to switch my screens back. So hold tight while I do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch screens. Hold tight, guys. So while I'm switching my screens, if you haven't already, please go ahead and post your questions in that question box. We're going to go through those right now and hopefully tackle those questions. And of course, if you do have additional questions later on, that's okay. Email them to us at team@gainful.ly, and we'll do our best to answer them. One last piece I wanted to talk about here for you is your dashboard. This is another new icon here that we've integrated and enabled here in this new release. The dashboard is just a 360 view that allows you to view your profile. It allows you to see which organizations you're a part of and your connections. And of course, if you have any questions, we have a great user help FAQ section that you can gain and access right from the Gainfully platform. I mean, as simple as adding a Facebook page. If you type that into the search bar, we have a help doc. It's going to pull up the keyword Facebook, boom. adding Facebook accounts. You can do this right from Gainfully. There's Carolyn, one of our employees here at Gainfully, and you can go ahead and read all that juicy details to get more information about the program that you're searching for. And that's all from the dashboard. It's a real easy way to get notifications. And then I know folks are going to have questions. Someone was asking, can we talk about kind of messages here in the platform? And I do want to take some time to talk about that. So let me go into connections here. If you want to interact with other